Hello everyone! The clip you're about to hear is from one of our exclusive Patreon episodes on a recent horror release, and just like all of our other episodes, it might include major spoilers for said horror release, so don't listen to it if you haven't already seen it. You've officially been warned. And if you'd like to hear the full episode, just head on over to patreon.com/horrorqueers and subscribe today. Without further ado, here is your exclusive Patreon clip. Anyway, but what I'm bringing up though is okay, so they moved this from the June schedule, which, I think it would have come out on June 20th or 21st, at the same weekend as the Child's Play remake.
Okay.
For reshoots.
Oh.
I don't know what they reshot, because it was already going for the R rating. Megan Navarro did a set visit, and she was one of her articles was from the get-go about the gore in the movie. Because this movie doesn't feel hacked to bits to me, like say, the Black Christmas remake. There were a couple scenes where I was I felt like they ended too soon, but it wasn't on, effects. It was on actual dialogue where I was I feel like there was more to this scene than what we got, what we just saw, but it doesn't feel like a hack job to me though.
No, it feels trimmed for pacing, or maybe some studio notes along the lines of, can we move this along? We need to get back to some of the scares. I could easily imagine that there is more to all of these backstories, but they would all be character moments, not scares. And
that's the thing. Okay. Let's say there is a lot more footage with these characters, and we have a 2-hour Grudge movie.
Yikes.
I know. I'm would I want to watch that? I don't know. Because
I don't know.
If it helps with these characters, I think Muldoon is probably the least interesting character to me. We haven't even talked about fucking William Sadler, who gets
my God.
Who gets the pristine line delivery of, "That house has been grudged."
I want that on a t-shirt, and I want it on a mug, and I want it tomorrow.
I cannot believe they kept that in the movie. That is obscene. Also...
Actually, you know what? I wouldn't be surprised if the scene where she goes to visit him in the mental hospital, and then he gouges out his eyes is a reshoot, now that we're thinking about it.
That's actually true, because my question the whole time was, why hasn't he been killed yet? He's been grudged. Why isn't he dead?
And there's even the suggestion that he sees something behind her when she's interviewing him in the room.
Yeah.
No.
He's also been in the house. He has the curse. Being in an asylum is not going to protect him.
No, I'm actually wondering if in some other derivation he just shot himself in Damien Bashir's car and just died. I'm willing to bet.
Which would make sense, and that's what I thought was happening, because it was oh cool, he's killing himself because he'd rather do that than be killed by these ghosts and become part of the Grudge, which again makes sense, and it's super bleak. But no, then we cut back to him and he's been Mason Vergered, and he's just
Yes, I was he looks like a cat. Is that the intention of these prosthetics?
If y'all don't know who Mason Verger is, he is a character in Hannibal, the TV show and the movie, played by Gary Oldman in the movie and Michael Pitt in the show, where he has been forced to cut off his own face and feed it to his dogs. So he's horribly disfigured, just like William Sadler in this asylum.
Yeah. You know what? I feel like we have totally nailed this. I'm 100% sure that those are reshoots. So that means I can fall back on my previous argument. That means that this movie did not think we were smart enough, because the whole point of their conversation is for him to be like, you set foot in that house, you get grudged.
Which, again, we're treating this as a sidequel. People that are going to see this have probably seen the old one. Probably. Again, I don't want to generalize, but probably.
But it does bring up a good point. Do we need to have a conversation about the value, the benefit of trying to capitalize on an established franchise or name brand, and then spending your time trying to make sure that 19-year-olds who were too young to see it originally are still going to know what the fuck is going on? We keep doing this.
Get in, losers. This is the Lady Killers, a Feminine Rage podcast. I'm Jen.
I'm Sammy.
I'm Rocco.
And I'm May. Our podcast is a tribute to the female-identifying killers in horror and more.
Each episode will feature us, your Supreme Court of female murderers, discussing our favorite lady killers, from your Julias and Jennifers to your Carries and Christines.
We'll tell her story, decide if it's good for her horror, and answer the most important question of all: would we die for her?
Join us on Thursdays as we pull on our sweaters, snatch our ice picks, sharpen our scissors, and honor the lady killers who live on the silver screen.
No boys were harmed in the making of this podcast.
Yet.
Shelby Scott, the host of Scare You to Sleep, a podcast where I tell you spooky bedtime stories full of creepy sound effects and music that is soothing yet unsettling to help immerse you into a world of horror. This is a show for those of us who have realized horror can be a strange but relaxing escape from reality. Speaking of escapes, sometimes I lead you through guided nightmares, like a guided meditation, but instead of flowery meadows, I take you on a journey through your own personal nightmare. So come get lost in the terror with me. Listen to Scare You to Sleep wherever you listen to podcasts, or find us online at bloody.fm. Sweet screams.